Uh-oh, and we are back. Look
What's
at
up, gang?
us.
The baseball bunch, as
Hey,
they might say.
We've been calling ourselves the baseball bunch for so long. Here we are, back together.
and it feels so good.
So good to be together again.
Baseball is back.
I know.
Baseball's back. We're back. It's all.
My name
all
is Paul Caputo. I'm the host of Baseball by Design, a weekly podcast that drops every Tuesday about minor league baseball logos and what they mean to the local communities. I'm sorry, were we not doing that?
No, that's great.
I'm just drinking my beer.
Little out of
Sorry.
practice. I'm Anna DiTomaso, host of the Baseball Bucket List. And every Thursday, I speak with a different baseball fan about how they fell in love with the game of baseball, what their favorite memories are, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
What's up? I'm Ed of the Data Chronicles. Hi, guys. My podcast drops on Mondays. Yeah, that's right. I'm the first one. That's right. I'd said that. I talk to various people in the various parts of the world. And actually, I just talk to baseball people as well. That's all. That's what I do. You know, different teams, players, coaches, all that fun stuff. You know how that goes.
This is how behind I am on my podcast listening right now.
I
just today listened to the Ed Rivera World Baseball Classic preview on Mike Sellers' Up to Chat podcast. So I got to hear all of your predictions for the World Baseball Classic.
And they all sucked.
Hey, you both had America. You both had the U.S. losing in the final. So
yeah.
Yeah. Mike says, "So glad Anna is back." So that's great, I guess. So, and
Anna, you've
to
been
that
gone.
end, I'm super glad that Pat Larson is in the comments. So take that, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric is getting after me for speaking bad about Yingling in my episode.
But yeah, first of all, you need to calm down with some Yingling, okay? You need to just chill out, bruh. That's some good beer.
Right? And from Pottsville, no less, you know?
It is a Pennsylvania thing. Yeah, I just
it's in Ohio, and I drink that. Actually, you know what? Yeah. It's also here in North Carolina.
Yeah, but it's from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, just like vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we've got
it is Durham night.
Yeah, we've got lollygaggers and cervezas, and then Ed's got the chanclas.
The flying chanclas, or how we say in Puerto Rico, chancletas.
Pat Larson wants to know what Curve Brim media outlet drops on Wednesdays, because we've got Ed on Monday, me on Tuesday, Anna on Thursday. Guess what? The too big for its britches doesn't need us anymore.
Right.
Local news famous minor league baseball hat history series.
Last time I checked, I wasn't on TV.
Right.
What drops on Wednesday? I don't know. You tell me.
So here we are. It's the first Tuesday of the month. This is our new format. We're monthly. It's the first Tuesday of every month, and so much to talk about since we've last been on the air here. For one thing, baseball season started, so that's pretty cool.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
Major League Baseball. Have I told you guys about my religious themed dairy shop that I want to start?
No.
It's called Sweet Baby Cheeses. And yeah, and then I also have a Christmas themed buffet restaurant that I'm going to start called "Oh Come Stuff Your Face Full."
I love it. You know, I always wanted to open up a hot dog place, right? And since this is Curve Brim After Dark, I wanted to call the House of Wieners.
House of Wieners.
Y'all.
Very nice. Very glad to be back. We're watching Major League Baseball. Yeah, Donnie and Mike Sellers are both at the Columbus Clippers game tonight.
Such a great ballpark, though.
Posting pictures of Dippin' Dots, which is almost like ice cream, but at least they got helmets.
You're welcome, Eric.
Yeah. Leave the dad jokes to Ed, Eric says. All right. Okay. So we're 4 games into the Major League Baseball season. Mm-hmm. There is one team that remains winless, at least at this very moment. Just checking the score here. They're up 4-0 right now in the late in the game. But my Phillies are winless at the moment. But
no team has made it 0-5 after going to the World Series.
Oof. All right.
No team in the history of Major League Baseball has been 0-5. I'm just saying. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Let me tell you about my last 6 months. The Philadelphia Union, the Major League Soccer Philadelphia Union, made it to the championship.
Yep.
And lost the ice cream of the future since 1995. They Philadelphia Union made it to the championship of Major League Soccer and lost. Of course, my Philadelphia Phillies made it to the World Series, lost. Philadelphia Eagles made it to the Super Bowl and lost. And now I find, this is a really funny thing, I find my fantasy NBA basketball team shockingly in the championship matchup, and the top seed got knocked out. So I'm actually playing a lower seed in the championship matchup of my
You
fantasy
gotta
basketball.
win something. I was last, by the way, in that league.
Well, you're not last yet. You're playing for 9th place right now against Ron Henry. So
I am.
You may
And
pull it out.
I adjusted my lineup as well. So
the well, I hope
nope, it's final.
No, we still have this. We have this week. You got the 9th place game going on this week.
Oh,
All right, so it's the first week of Major League Baseball, and here we are talking about fantasy
basketball. Because
because
my fantasy baseball team has an ERA of like 12 right now. Like my fantasy baseball team is the only team doing worse than the Phillies.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think I have any Rays or Guardians. I got to go check and see which Rays and Guardians I have on my fantasy.
Don't get Zach Plesac. I'll tell you that much. Jesus.
All right. What do we think though of? Okay, we saw Manny Machado. Did you see Manny Machado strike out today?
Strike out
on a pitch clock violation.
Uh-huh.
What do we think?
I did not see it, but it checks. Like it's all making
it's
sense.
on par. It's on par with Manny Machado.
Yeah. It's very on brand, yeah.
But what do we think of strikeouts in Major League Baseball games ending? Okay.
I'm going to be honest.
Oh, he's going to be contrarian here. This is Ed's thing. He likes the runner on second base. He likes the bigger. Well, I actually do like the bigger bases.
I like the bigger bases. Okay.
Yeah.
My Guardians are a team that are really good at playing small ball.
Okay.
And a lot of these rules have been set up for the small ball.
Yeah.
Right? And I am, guys, I'm sorry. I'm a fan.
I like the bigger bases. I like the pickoff rule. I like that you can't have like
I love it because then the runners are like, all right, cool. Hey, you got yours. You done. Here I go.
I'm looking to see which Guardians and Rays I have on my fantasy team here.
None.
I've got Rosario from Cleveland.
Okay, all right.
And I've got a Rosarena. How could I have forgotten? I've got a Rosarena from the
only the best player in baseball. Right?
He's only the best player in baseball. It was a great early pickup for me. I apologize. I've got Naylor from Cleveland, and
Naylor is what I love that guy because he's just all energy all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Anna, you're gonna have to help me. I apologize here. I've got Pache.
Pache.
Are you serious?
Pache.
I was gonna say that sort of jokingly.
Pache?
Yeah, it's Pache.
A pitcher or the outfielder?
Pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not Pache who the Phillies just picked up.
Right.
No. It's the pitcher. Poche.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same.
Okay, all right. He's a white dude. So
this is a white guy.
Yeah, some white dude from the Rays. He's not gonna get a tan under that dome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Chris points it out. My Rays 4-0, although they're trying their best to drop one to the Nationals here. But I got a call from my dad like 2 days ago, and he goes, "Hey, I just needed to check in with you. I need to know if you've heard about these rumors going around. Is there any validity to them?" I'm like, "Uh-oh, what's going on?" And he says, "It's about Commissioner Manfred." I'm like, okay. He's trying to break up the Rays because they're too good.
Yeah.
Such a dad joke.
Yeah.
Dude, dad joke. Love it.
I thought it was about to be an April Fool's thing. I thought it was going to be like they're moving to Montreal.
That's what I thought at first too, but no.
No, it's Nashville, by the way. But they're not moving.
Oh, it's going to be Nashville. If it's anything, it's going to be Nashville.
No, they're not moving. I think aren't they having like working out a deal to get a new ballpark?
Yeah, that's the current status of the Rays staying in St. Petersburg, as so they say. But
That's a little bit evergreen, though, isn't it? Isn't that
Oakland, on
sort of
the other
right,
hand,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, they're phoning it in, but
oh
Oakland's
my
going to
God.
Las Vegas. They're done, right? Like that's done. Like
Okay.
they're
Yeah.
the Las Vegas A's
So
now.
Yeah.
that's my brother's favorite team, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but like my brother, huge Oakland A's fan. So they're playing the Guardians right now, and I'm watching a game last night. I stayed up for a couple innings. I didn't stay up the whole game because I need my beauty sleep. But
It's paying off, dude. You look lovely.
I thank you. Appreciate that. It's the
Oh.
it's the moisturizer. That place was empty.
yeah, it was on opening day. I mean, opening day was a quarter full, maybe. I mean, it's gigantic, but still.
Right? My
Yeah.
brother's like, yeah, that's during the week. I'm like, okay, that's a opening day, bro, and it was the weekend. So let's not.
Yeah.
I do like Philip's suggestion of combining Curve Brim After Dark and Taco Tuesday.
And you know what goes great with tacos? A little cerveza. So we're very on brand here.
Totally on brand. Super good.
By the way, I'm drinking Red Oak.
Red Oak from which brewery?
Red Oak Brewery.
I
Here in North Carolina.
Okay. All right. What are the big breweries in? Well, I'm drinking right now a Sad Panda. It's a coffee stout from the Horse and Dragon Brewery.
I just threw
right here in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's delicious. It's
not in your basement though, just in.
I actually am in my basement. That's where the recording studio is in my basement in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yeah.
And I got a secret. This is a little inside baseball for you here. Every time I say I'm in my basement in the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame in Fort Collins, Colorado, it's actually this room. It's the helmets are behind me. You can see them through that door, like very slightly. They're a little bit dark there. So
he's actually every time he says that, he records in the kitchen.
Now, I'm never recording in the kitchen. It would be too echoey. I got this room with hats on the walls to dampen the sound. Here is Lynn coming through with Sad Panda is awesome. Sad Panda is awesome. It's a
coffee.
Super good. You don't even know what it is, dude.
Yeah.
And
it's
Eric
a panda
here,
crying because
Eric,
the nastiness.
I think Christopher Storm is absolutely right with this comment right here. I was devastated to learn that the Fort Collins Foxes are no more.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Are they having a fire sale of their merch or anything? Oh
my God, they're having a fire sale. There was a little Arrested Development reference there for anyone who wanted that. I don't know, because I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to sell the franchise still. So they're trying to they may be back next year if they can sell the franchise.
So, but here's and you and me were having this conversation.
Yeah.
What was it early this week?
It might have been this morning at like 5 a.m.
Probably. That's when the time I call you it's during the week. But if you're trying to sell a team, don't you think you want to put the team out there and try to get as much as possible? And then
right. Like the whole notion of like, let's suspend operations while we try to sell this team.
It makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah. And then my buddy Chris, who was featured on this week's episode of the podcast. That's funny. Now you can see the helmets through the door because Baseball by Design wildlife correspondent Ranger Amy Burnett heard me talking about the fact that you can't see them. So now you can see them over my shoulder there.
She's like, all right, we're going to rearrange things.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. So Chris, who was the third guest on today's episode about the Tacoma Rainiers, was down near where the Northern Colorado Owls with a Z are going to be playing and sent me a picture of their ballpark. And he's super alarmed because he doesn't really see a ballpark yet down there. And so he's just sent me like a picture through this like chain link fence. They're selling tickets. So I think the stadium the ballpark might just not be as big as he thinks it's going to be.
Or just is not there.
I think it's there. I do. I think it's there.
It's just a field. It's like bring your own.
It's a high school field.
I think they're going to have like a grandstand. Like it'll be like the grandstand behind home plate and like halfway down each baseline.
But didn't they have this grand like design and of what they wanted, and then like, oh, by the way, we have no money, we can't do any of this stuff.
Well, they have new ownership now, and they have the same the same designer who did the Grand Junction Jackalopes is the designer who is working for the Owls. The Owls with
Well,
Z,
actually, wasn't he working for the Owls and then they did the
Yeah.
Jackalopes?
Yeah.
I
But he's
heard
not
that
the
in
one
some podcast, by the way.
Did you know? Let's see. Pat says, and musical enthusiast. I'm sorry, I left that part of Ranger Amy Burnett's name out.
Oh, you better watch out.
And then here's Amy making kissy faces at Patrick. This is
Again,
happening here.
now he's getting kissy faces. He's on TV. Now he's getting the lady. I mean, come on, Patrick, calm down.
So we've referenced this. I hope everyone got a chance to see it. And if you haven't, go to Pat's Twitter feed and scroll down a little bit, and you'll see he was featured on a local news station with his Portland Sea Dogs episode. And
How cool
they were
is
all
that?
psyched. The local news in Portland was just like, check out this Twitter star in his 75th episode of this minor league baseball hat history series talking about our Portland Sea Dogs. And there was Pat's mug on the local news. It was great to see.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been so proud of her in my life.
Yeah. And then just days later, to celebrate his good fortune and his station in life, Pat ripped a baseball away from children at a Gwinnett Stripers game and brought it home and put it on his mantle.
Congratulations, Patrick. I've never been prouder.
Hey, it's, by the way, the Rockies home opener is Thursday, and it's right now like 20 degrees outside, and we got like 3 inches of snow today.
Very on brand for Colorado.
Yeah, but by Thursday, it's going to be like high 60s. So, it is very on brand for Colorado.
I wonder what Cleveland is going to be.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to reel us back in just a little bit.
Right.
Right. The Phillies were winning. The Phillies were winning on opening day 5-0. And Anna texted the Curved Brim media. Well, it wasn't the first inning. It was like third or fourth inning, right? Because they scored like a couple each. So then Anna, noting that the Texas Rangers are getting no hit in like the third or fourth inning, texts the entire Curved Brim media. The entire Curved Brim media text thread and says, I want the Rangers to get one hit so that I don't regret not going to this game. And the Rangers proceeded to score 9 freaking runs.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
In one inning. So I was just like, well, that's how this season's gonna go.
Oh,
yeah.
Great start by them.
Yeah.
Oh, if only it were that easy,
Jinxes are real, absolutely. So, that is, by the way, the subject of the Judge John Hodgman podcast that I think is going to be airing later on this month is jinxes.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey! Not to 4-0. Top of the 8th.
Oh, is that what you're trying to do? So it was really funny actually, because I'm sitting here and I can sort of see what's going on in the TV and my screen. But then at one point I looked over and I was looking at the TV and Ed's screen, and I saw like a Cardinals pitcher doing something, and I was completely baffled by what was happening. I was just like, what?
I'm telling you, and not to promote a certain league or anything, but this big inning by them, I like that. I can get to see some good baseball all day long.
It's like red zone for baseball, right?
It really is. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And I apologize. You tried to rein us in, and you had like a question I think that you were going to throw out there.
Go for it.
I started ranting about you jinxing the Phillies on their opening day.
Well deserved. It's fine. I don't mind it at all. The reason I had to say that was because I did have some friends there, and I was like, I'm gonna be so upset if I wasn't at that game and it's a no. But I didn't know that it was gonna go so far in the opposite direction.
It's like the Elves went too far.
Anna did one of these.
It's exactly what it was.
It's like
my bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got your one hit, Anna.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
So what are we talking about? Rules, pace of play?
Yeah, well, I thought we could touch on a couple things. Obviously, a tremendous response to the World Baseball Classic from the casual baseball fans that be. And, of course, the fan fiction ending there with Ohtani v. Trout. Just something,
so good.
Yeah.
What other scenario are we going to see that in? And so I thought we should recap that a bit, because obviously I know it's kind of old news now with the proper MLB season starting, but I thought, you know, what some really cool stuff we got to see.
So I loved the World Baseball Classic this year. Some really good baseball, even in like pool play, right? Like even before you get to the
Right?
bracket, like the pool that took place in Taichung in Taiwan, um,
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Sorry. This is it was I mean, I just thought that was the fans in Taichung were like so much fun to watch. The cheerleaders, the one sort of like wacky mascot there, like dancing on the roof of the dugout, on top of the dugout, and like the sort of chanting and the singing. Like I found myself sort of like singing along with like the little
Mhm.
chants and the drumming, and
Did
I
you
was
feel like you were back at a Caribbean game?
I did. Well, I've only been to the one Caribbean Series game, but like I found myself just sort of like bouncing my head a little bit, like with the fans, like the act, like the rhythm of their chanting and their
As we're
singing,
doing right now, like
as we're doing, just sort of like bouncing along, like it was amazing. It did ruin me a little bit for regular spring training, like that week between the
Mhm.
World Baseball Classic and the season beginning.
because the spring tournament was such a letdown compared to the
Yeah,
WBC.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all atmosphere. Um, so the World Baseball Classic, I was a huge fan of. There was the one player, and I've forgotten his name, right? But like the one player on the Taiwanese team, I guess the World Baseball Classic was calling it the Chinese Taipei. Um, he was just this huge stud, right? Like, to hear Tyler Maughan broadcasting those games from the MILB podcast too, like I feel like he did such a good job, and that was so much fun. But mostly just like, I'm not a great sleeper, as Ed knows, because I start texting him at like 4 a.m. and that's when he starts calling me. Um, it's it was like to wake up at like 4 a.m. and you'd be in like the fifth inning of some like important game, and you'd be like, yeah. And so I'm
So
sitting there in
good.
bed watching, Australia and Cuba play, and it's just like it was just so cool.
But all those games were so good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
I didn't feel like there was a single bad game. Okay, granted, there was a couple blowouts, but other than that, like I mean, right, it was so good when it got to Miami.
Mhm.
My God,
Yeah.
I love that pool.
Yeah.
Arizona, like you had Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, like these guys were
Yeah.
just going at it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was really cool too to see, a lot of the different
Sorry, Amy.
cultures and fan bases and things like that. I think that was the first look that a lot of baseball fans kind of got at what it is to cheer for a Japanese team,
Yeah.
or, Paul, like you're mentioning the chants and everything like that. I think that
Mhm.
was really cool, for Americans to see, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, to see the players, because a lot of people didn't pick teams, the Asian teams in their brackets, because they
Mhm.
didn't know the players, right? Like
Mhm.
they didn't know, because they're playing in these professional leagues in Asia that apparently are pretty close to, if not every bit as good as
Yeah.
the American, Major League Baseball, right? Like, I mean, it's incredible. So yeah, for Japan to be as strong as they are and to only really recognize, 2 or 3
Handful.
players on their
Right,
team
yeah. Yeah.
was really interesting for me.
Yeah.
I love the Nuke Bar story, right? Him going over there to play for Japan. That
Mhm.
was cool.
That was cool.
Czech Republic, gotta give it to him. It's like a lot of them was like were like doctors and firefighters and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, and you're
Right.
playing against the big boys. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right,
that's
right, right.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool. I mean, that's like just like it's like a fantasy camp for some of these countries, right?
And then
Like,
you
and
had
then
England with the craziest, wildest uniforms I could ever
Etain.
imagine.
They were so good.
They were amazing. Now, honestly, though, let's be honest. If those uniforms, that lettering was a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
they would have been okay. But they were so small, and I'm like, bro, this is
Sometimes
literally jerseys.
like when you have a graphic design background, like I mean, it was the number of times people texted me and tagged me in photos of or like the criticism that said like they opened up a Word document and just put Helvetica bold all caps and
I mean, they did. They
uh,
probably did.
yeah,
They're
they
like,
totally did.
we're like, don't you guys know we're a soccer country? We're going to
Yeah,
give you a little bit of money
yeah,
that we have left over, and then you guys do what you guys need to do with that.
absolutely.
So backtrack to Philip's question about the timing of the WBC. I mean, obviously there was
Leave
outcry
it. Leave it the
after.
way it is.
Yeah, yeah. So the argument for keeping it as such is obviously if a player incurs a tremendous injury as a free agent, their career is like entirely over. So, wait till the contracts are signed and then play them. And I also feel like look at the start some of these guys have had after that competitive environment. I think it was only good for most of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, you're gonna get injured walking down the street. You're gonna get injured flying a drone right before a playoff game. For
Racing with
your
the Bulls.
right, whatever. And then your finger's gonna be falling half off, and you try to pitch, and then you get kicked out because you're an idiot.
What's happening?
Bauer.
Oh, right.
Right, but like it's gonna happen. So like the fact that it was like, oh, this is like, this is why this is so meaning. This is not a meaningful game. I'm like, okay, tell those players.
They
Right.
seem to care more. I mean, genuinely, from a perspective, like looking out from the outside looking in,
Yeah.
seem to be genuinely more excited and, just enthusiastic to be representing their country. And
Yep.
I would guess as a kid, there we go, really just tied it up for the Rays.
Okay.
As a kid, you're probably dreaming of doing something like that, right?
Right.
Especially you're talking about, people defecting from countries or
Yeah.
coming over and leaving entire families, and then to have an opportunity like that is just
Yep.
that's gotta be more meaningful than playing for the New York Mets or
You
the New
tell
York
me right now,
Yankees.
hey Ed, we want you to go and suit up for Team Puerto Rico. It's like, what am I doing? I don't know. You're cleaning the bench. Done.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, don't make me wear the flat brim hat. You give me a dad hat and I'm in.
Speaking of that, I want a minor league team to play a whole game in dad hats.
Oh, I like this idea. I just want some dad hats for the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's very true though that there were players for whom winning the World Baseball Classic was a bigger deal than how they perform for their team. And I'm sure that drives fans crazy, right? Because they're getting paid a lot of money by those teams. But like, yeah, I mean, in terms of just, pride. Who's that? That's at Anna's house, huh?
That's
That's
Anna's
Sarge.
house.
Yeah, that's little Sarge. Not so little.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. But I wonder if playing it after the season, I mean, part of what happens there is like, you've got like say a Juan Soto, right? Like who, suppose the Padres don't make the playoffs. His season ends at the end of September. And then you've got, 4 or 5 weeks of playoffs in the World Series. And then you're going to have something of a break, I would think. Rays take the lead, eh?
Yeah, they did. Look at that. Boom.
You're going to have players who have a long layoff between the end of the Major League Baseball season and, if they don't make the playoffs and then the beginning. So I don't see playing it in the winter. I don't see competing with
But you also
football.
You also have to remember a lot of other countries, their season is in winter.
Sure.
Right. So all the Caribbean leagues, winter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, it doesn't, I say keep it where it is. Right. It's going to be what, every 4 years now?
Is that what it is?
It's every 4 years. This one is going to be 3 because of COVID.
Yeah.
This one is 3 years, and then it'll go
regular
ramp back up to 4 years.
Yeah.
I feel like 3 is kind of perfect. I really like 3. So Dan Simon texted me, #humblebrag. The Mudville 9 episode that I did, I interviewed a guy who's a vice president with Tom Seidler. He's a vice president with the Padres right now. And he was involved with they purchased the Stockton Ports and they were going to change the team to the Mudville 9, or they did change the team name to the Mudville 9. And I asked him, I was just sort of making conversation, right? And I asked him, I said, can you think of a scenario in Major League Baseball where, it was sort of comparable to the poem, Casey at the Bat, where it was a big star striking out in a big moment that everyone was watching.
Trout.
And Dan Simon texted me. He said, it's such a shame that you did that interview before the end of the World Baseball Classic, because was there ever a more Casey at the Bat moment than Mike Trout facing Shohei Ohtani at the end of the the World Baseball Classic. Like here's what's interesting to me. I was rooting for the United States because
Mhm.
we've got that nationalistic pride, right? Like
So
you
was
root
I.
you root for your team. But I think more than like any time I've ever really seen that fans were just so psyched to see an awesome moment, regardless of how it turned out, right? Like to see that World Series or the
Yes.
World Baseball Classic end on Otani versus Trout was
Except for
just
Mad
such a
Dog Russo, by the way. He hated. He didn't think it was.
well,
He was
right,
very
of course.
ordinary.
Yeah, that was so much fun to me to have the whole sort of baseball world sort of united
The
in like
world.
literally the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the other thing that we have to like. Here we are, 3 people living in the United States, talking about how much we enjoyed the World Baseball Classic. I think what the World Baseball Classic did for fans and the sport in other countries is something that we can't even really fully appreciate, right? Like
Not yet. Right. You
right,
can't really, but it did.
So 2 points that I want to tack on to you there, Paul, is like one, I was obviously rooting for the US too, but wasn't devastated when they lost that
right,
game because of the craziness of that moment, how just enthralling it was to sit there and watch that.
right.
But I wonder, is it because my appreciation for the game has grown to where I'm becoming more of a baseball fan than a fan of like a specific team? Or is it because I hadn't invested 162 plus
Mhm.
games in the
Mm.
team? It
Yeah,
was, a short couple of weeks
yeah,
and then it was over.
yeah.
Um,
For
so
me, I can't answer for you, right? But for me, it's that second one, right? Like for
yeah.
me, the spectacle of the World Baseball Classic with fans who cared so much. And yeah, I mean, my emotional, if you had said to me in February, either the US will win the World Baseball Classic or the Phillies will win the World Series, it would be the nanosecond before I chose the Phillies winning the World Series, right? Like that
Isn't
just
that so funny
it
though? Like
matters
that's
so much more to me.
yeah, that's so funny.
Imagine
Especially
just like
so
you're
long.
playing for the name on the front this time. It's like, you actually, there's more pride for that name in the front than the name on the back or the team that pays you, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
how, like, that's, you cannot, put that into any, like, that's pride right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because, it's America's game, I think it's you know, Abner Doubleday, as we know, is the greatest American ever and invented the game out of thin air. And certainly it didn't evolve from other games around the country. Um,
Or
but
other countries. Yeah. Like you said, like other
or other
countries.
countries, I mean, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So but I think there's perhaps more pride in other teams taking down the United States, right? Like
Yeah.
for this game that grew in other
I know I
places.
was. Oh
Sure.
man, I wanted to see a Puerto Rico versus USA. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I need revenge. Sweet,
Yep.
sweet revenge.
um,
Didn't happen, but
so one time, this is I don't know, this is tangentially related here, but I think it's a fun story. I was in see, here's Mike. He's a better American than I am, I guess.
I would
Um,
have picked you. I would have picked Puerto Rico over. Yeah,
if
absolutely.
if I could have picked Team USA or the Detroit Tigers, I'm with Mike. I would have picked Team
Yeah.
USA. So one time I was in Panama. It was 2009, maybe, I don't know. It was a long time ago. And we did one of these experiences where, we went and visited this community that lived on this island that you can only get to essentially by like a canoe. Like we got in canoes and they paddled us out there. And it was this pretty amazing experience. But we visited this school where they were playing baseball in the schoolyard. And it was like these little kids, right? Like they're not, they were like maybe probably young teens, maybe. And so they're playing baseball, and I was just like, "Oh, hey, can I take a couple of swings?" And so I walk up there, and they gave me this bat that was essentially like a cross between a baseball bat and a broom handle, right? Like it was not a regulation baseball bat.
that's a broom handle. What's wrong with that? That's
Could have been a broom handle, right? But it wasn't stickball because they were playing with a real baseball, but it was baseball where like the leather was basically like peeling off. So it was a pretty sort of, ratty situation in terms of the baseball. But I got up there and I was like, let me take a couple of swings here. As little kids, that ball was out of that kid's hand and in the catcher's glove in a freaking blink.
Paul and that Paul goes like, you know what? Here you
I
go.
was like, oh, well, that was fun, guys. Anyway, I took like
I'll see you
4 or
guys
5
later.
swings and I barely made contact on the last one. And I'm like, see, America. Bye, guys.
America. And I'm out.
Would I rather win a World Series ring or a WBC ring? For Team Ireland, the Gingerviduals.
Oh.
I almost said I didn't want to, Oh God, it's cold. It's nice outside today. It's like in the 70s.
Did you know that Mike Piazza lives in Italy year round now?
Does he?
He does. He lives in Italy year round. And he coaches the Team Italy.
That's cool. America.
America. That's a good question.
I say WBC.
WBC.
I would say a World Series.
More clout, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. World Series is one of 30 teams. You get a new shot every year. It's like I think like as a soccer fan, I think of the World Cup. It's on the same level for me. Like I think you hear about some of the greats who have won Premier League championships and everything like that, but don't have the World Cup trophy, and they would trade those in a heartbeat, I think, to bring one home for their country.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: can you name who won the World Baseball Classic in 2009?
Japan, wasn't it?
Okay. Can you name who won the World Series in 2009?
Nope.
The Yankees.
It was the Yankees.
Don't really care.
Yeah.
How's that?
All right. Who won when was the next World Baseball Classic? 2013?
Japan.
I don't think so. I think they won the first 2, didn't they, in 06
Yeah,
and
what's the
09?
first 2? Cuba then. I don't know about that one.
I thought the Dominican there was a team.
It was DR.
Yeah,
DR.
they won.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2013.
And then it was USA who won after that.
13 was the Giants.
No, the Giants won on even numbered years. The Giants won in 10, 12,
so
and 14. It was the Red
Cards?
Sox. Red Sox.
The Sox in 13.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's sort of an interesting exercise, right? Like
yeah.
So and then after that was the USA against
Yeah.
So interesting. Like so this is of note. I mean, I don't know how much this matters, but the World Baseball Classic episode of my podcast is like far and away the most downloaded in the last couple of months.
That's cool. Yeah.
Again, let's be honest, right? It's like the popularity of the sport grew exponentially because of
I think that's true.
The World Baseball Classic.
Here in America, for sure. Like, definitely. I don't know about the rest of the world. I think they were pretty like bought into it, but
yeah, a lot of countries already bought in. Japan, look at Japan.
Yeah.
Look at China.
Yeah. But is it the tournament format too, right? Like if Japan plays the US in a best of 7, does Japan win that series?
Right.
It's
Right.
like
That's a good question.
The stakes are much higher.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the US had the pitching for a 7-game series.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's team was really like built for that length like that. But
But I think of the teams that like aren't known, or the countries that aren't known for baseball that did well in the tournament. So like Italy and Australia and the Netherlands, although the Netherlands is getting increasingly more known, although it's not actually the Netherlands, right? Like it's all of their territories out in the Caribbean.
All the territories on the Caribbean, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but those countries, I mean, like Australia, right? Like Australia did fairly for a country that doesn't the Australian Baseball League is a winter league for Major League Baseball, right? Like it's not
like
its
a minor
own,
league system. Yeah.
yeah, it's not its own professional baseball league like Japan or Korea has. So I mean, I think Australia is a country where that they don't necessarily invest in baseball that way.
Right. Yeah.
I thought this game was over. I thought it just ended. I had my inning wrong. Now the real question is, when are we going to get some World Baseball Classic helmet Sundays?
How about dad hats? I'm okay with I just need a dad hat.
I'm
All
with
right.
Phil here though, because I'm thinking, like not too long ago, I went to Epcot for the first time, and you do the little like drinking around the world and stuff like that. So I'd be all over different themed food items and beverages.
Oh my God, Tampa Bay is putting a whooping in the ninth now.
That's right.
10-6.
This is going to be the true measure of success, I think, for the World Baseball Classic, is if you can start hosting it in other countries. Maybe even not at all in the U.S. or maybe just pool play in the U.S.
They're gonna
right?
have it in the U.S. It's created by Major League Baseball. You're gonna have it in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, and it's easy to get players from spring training to games back
Right.
to spring
Boom.
training.
Right, exactly. A lot of those players.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But even like you said, though, it's like, all right, so the Dominican Republic will be a great place to host some games. Mexico, I mean, the way that the popularity of the sport has been growing and how beautiful those ballparks are now, right? That'll be a cool place to host. Go to Australia, right? Why not? Go to these other countries. Italy.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just such an interesting thing to follow the growth of this sport in other countries. And, they were so specific about that goal for this, for this event. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it was a success. I think it was by far the best year for the World Baseball Classic. I mean, I was way more into it this year than I was other years.
Same.
New Zealand.
I've been into them the whole time, though. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
I watched them, but I didn't follow them as closely. Like the pool was it A or B that ended up with 5 teams at 2-2. Like that was just so insane, right? Like
wow, it's the Netherlands pool.
Yeah,
and they got eliminated because
pool,
of that.
The pool of insanity or whatever they called it.
Yeah. So I mean, I highly recommend for if you guys are going to go to a game, because my God,
I missed that opportunity this year. That was because Baseball by Design wildlife consultant and musical something. What is it? Pat, help me out. Enthusiast? Is that what it is? Okay.
I think so. Sounds right.
Ranger Amy Burnett moved to Colorado right before. She moved to Colorado right before spring training in the World Baseball Classic, which that wasn't sanctioned. That wasn't authorized.
That was an unsanctioned. Like she's just like, here's what I'm doing.
Donnie's. There was this podcast I was listening to, that it was really funny. They were talking about they were talking about like expansion cities for Major League Baseball, and Mexico City came up, and they're like, yeah, why not Mexico City? And it makes me laugh because I live in Colorado, and Denver obviously plays at 5,280 feet, and the elevation is a real problem for baseball, right? Like they're still working on figuring it out. You still can't throw a curveball in Colorado. And Mexico City's elevation is like 7,400 feet, right? Like it's like 2,000 feet higher than Denver. It would be kind of hilarious to see. I think you'd get some like 35 to 25 games in Mexico City if you had the major leagues play there. Look, here's Amy crying because I'm talking about her move to Colorado.
Listen, it's coming. Expansion is coming. They need another team in Canada.
Yeah, can't wait. Vancouver.
Right. Let's go with that one.
Yeah.
So what's the general consensus about shorter games? Now that we've got, so I just want to read these numbers I saw.
She's gonna read that. I was just gonna say
we got some numbers.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So average game time. First 49 games played in 2022, 3 hours 9 minutes. In 2023, it's been 2 hours and 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely significantly shorter. How do you guys feel about it? I mean, it's my response is different. Am I there at the ballpark or am
mhm,
I trying to get to bed?
Right. Right. Because if I'm at the ballpark, I don't want to miss an inning and a half going to get my helmet Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Like, I
exactly.
mean, if I get up and go get concessions and there's any line at all, you're gonna miss a certain amount of action in the game.
Yep.
And baseball doesn't have halftime, right? Like if they shorten the game time, the actual game time to like 2:23, but they give you a 15-minute halftime, maybe like after the fifth inning or something. But like
All right, everybody,
there's
go ahead and grab some water. Let's go.
there's no built-in time to go get concessions or use the restroom or whatever. So you're
Yeah.
just gonna miss action, right? Like you're just gonna miss action. And if the game's moving that fast, it makes open concourses that much more important because you're
Mhm.
so I object to it on principle. Sorry, Ed, go ahead.
I don't. As a parent of
Counterpoint. No.
a 4-year-old, as the parent of a 4-year-old, going to a ball game and then still being able to be home at a good, decent time.
Yeah.
It's enticing. It's very enticing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's ways in which not all the minor league baseball are able to going to do this, but like, to Patrick's point, right? Like, hey, why don't we have a section where you can order from the app and then have it be delivered to you, or something along those lines? Work with a company such as Uber Eats or something like that you're able to have delivery people on
Mhm.
standby to go ahead and, you know what I mean, to help out with the overflow of people at the lines.
Yeah. I think more of that, like we're starting to see more and more of the like Pat is saying, the order from your seat, we'll bring it to you type stuff. Also, what I've been noticing more of, especially like up in Frisco last season, is encouraging people to get to the ballpark well ahead of the game,
Right.
right? Used to be gates opened and it was only for weirdos like myself who wanted to watch batting practice. And now it's for weirdos
Like
like
us
myself
who
who
have
wanna,
a
yeah,
show.
yeah. Now it's for folks who wanna grab a couple of beers and maybe get their nachos before the
Hang
game
out. Yeah,
starts.
do
Yeah.
hang
Yeah,
out. Social
yeah,
event.
yeah.
I have to
Not
say,
always an
actually,
option if you're coming from work, but, just trying to make more of a day event out of it.
Mhm. So
I mean, look
so
look at all those ballparks now. They become more of a social areas. Like there's bars there,
Yeah,
restaurants,
yeah,
and all that for you to go and hang out. Look at the
yeah,
Guardians, all their new designs. That's all what it's designed for,
yeah.
right?
Oh, the
mhm.
the Rockies have a rooftop bar out in like right center field. And I
Uh,
guarantee you none of the people in the rooftop bar know what the score of the game
the
is,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Twins,
exactly.
when we went there,
Oh
remember?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, look, the Phillies bullpen gave up a home run. Um
I said nothing.
And it's like, I didn't see
uh,
this.
so Anna, those stats again where it was 309 for through 50 games last year and
Yep.
223, is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
Mhm.
223 is too much. The Elves went too far again. It's like it's like, I mean, maybe give me like 245, like okay, 245. For me to get to Coors Field, it's like hour 15-minute drive.
Mhm.
You know, I sure, yeah, you can get there when the gates open and sort of pound around the ballpark a little bit or whatever, but
Buy some merchandise.
buy some merchandise. Hang out at the rooftop bar. They do a Jack and Coke up there that's actually really good. So
A
um
slushy Jack and Coke.
it's not a slushy Jack and Coke, it's just a regular unfrozen Jack and Coke. Um Pat's pimping out his national anthem at Gwinnett on May 2.
Uh-oh.
Bring your earplugs. This is one of Ranger Amy's things. She wants to sing the national anthem at a minor league baseball game. We're gonna try to make that happen this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm with you, man. Have you guys ever been to that ballpark?
Which one's that?
World War Memorial Stadium?
Which one is it? Who plays there?
The North Carolina A&T now, but the Grasshoppers used to play there.
Oh,
yeah?
I might have been there when it how old is it? I was
Old.
there. Okay. Yeah, so then I've been there when I was in college.
So I was there a
So
couple of weeks ago with Mike, we were supposed to go watch a different ball game, but it was raining, so they pushed it to like 4 o'clock. So my girl said, "Hey, there's another one down the road, like 5 minutes down the road, North Carolina A&T. We can go watch a game right there, because why not?" I was like, "Let's go."
Mhm.
Right. And we're sitting there, and I go in there, and I'm like, this is the coolest, dumpiest ballpark I've ever been to. But I loved it. Such a dump. Right? But it's such an enigma because I was in love with that ballpark. I was in love with it.
This was me with the Bakersfield Blaze. It was like a terrible, terrible ballpark and so much fun.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it, like there was a section where, like, back with, there was segregation and all that, where only the African Americans could sit. It's like it was still there, right?
Right.
Like there was a whole section on the other side of the ballpark where it was just like, it was fenced off because it was just in such disrepair. You know what I mean? It was like, you can, right? It was like, you might get killed there.
Right.
Like, the bathrooms are still from 1920, right? You know what I mean? There was no concessions. But you couldn't, like Mike said, you could not take your eyes off of it.
I love this.
We were both like, I was like, literally, it's like, man, I love this place. If you have someone that could spend, I don't know, a couple $1 million, because you're gonna need some serious help, right? But you put some bleachers and all that, and you take care of it. That could be such a cool ballpark, like with so much history, right?
Yeah.
Like Ted Williams play there, right? Like, I mean, all these Derek Jeter play there. Like, if you really take care of it, it could be such a cool place, a cool history. Do a little bit of tour in there, and it could be such a cool ballpark to go to.
That's like the what is it, Evansville Otters, right? Like they play in that super old ballpark that's one of like the longest continuous use ballpark in the country. And yeah, it's like embracing the historic nature of it, I think is such a cool direction to take with a ballpark.
No,
Yeah.
we created a different category, Patrick. We created a category for those such ballparks. It's called the shit show ballpark.
Trademark pending.
Yeah.
Trademark pending, right? And it was, I mean, but it's such a, I loved it. So
all right,
we'll put
like
Evansville up there.
Alcatraz. Like I went to visit Alcatraz, and it's like, obviously the history behind it, but you're literally walking around, there's like holes in the floor, and you're like, I'm gonna fall through this. If like, why is nobody telling me not to walk any further?
One of the scariest experiences I ever had my whole life was a behind the scenes tour in at Alcatraz, when we got to go see the lighthouse, and we got to go out on the top of the lighthouse, and it was just like super freaking windy. Yeah. And like, I seriously thought, I still to this day like get the chills when I think about it. My daughter Maya, with the weighing like 30 pounds, and the wind blowing her, and then the gates were like super far apart because it wasn't meant for actual visitors. That is like, yeah, I'm giving myself the chills here just even talking about it.
That's crazy.
So you'll note that the Yankees have the tying run at the plate right now with 2 outs in the ninth.
Oh boy.
I mean, are you surprised?
I don't want to be surprised. I really don't.
All right, I got a couple more stats for y'all.
Okay, let's hear them.
I love it. Let's do it.
So we got stolen bases.
Oh,
first 50 games. 2022, 67.4% successfully stolen.
That was higher than I thought it was going to be when I first heard that.
Yeah,
I thought that would be a lower rate.
Yeah. Okay. 2023, 83.3 successfully stolen bases.
Yeah.
83.3%, I should say. Yeah. So,
and the actual number's a lot higher, right? Like it's.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
The attempts is 84 versus 43. So twice as many attempted steals.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's fun.
I think it's because of the congratulations.
They win?
Congratulations.
We're in the win column.
Yes.
Yep. Brought that win percentage up to 200.
But I think, like you were talking about, Anna, like it brings back small ball, right? Because the shift is no longer there, right? And it allows teams like Oakland or Tampa or Cleveland, right, who are not the big boppers, to be very, strategic about how they play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. We just hit 3 home runs in the 9th inning, but that's
Okay, we'll see how many times that happens, because Cleveland can't do that either.
Yeah.
Is that percentage too high? Like and I think that part of this is the pickoff rule, right? Like that you can't, the third pickoff attempt, the third unsuccessful pickoff attempt is a balk. I think that that's given, runners a bigger lead, the opportunity to take a bigger lead. Is 83% success rate too high for stolen bases?
So I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of everything, like pitch clock, the bigger bases, the pickoff rule, right? Like you cannot just take one of those and make it more successful. I think I gotta give them credit for this. Like they actually put all these rules together, and they're like, all of these are going to work together. Right?
Right. Because if you increase offense and you increase activity on the base paths, then the quicker pace is not a big deal. This is why I worry about 223 for the length of game. That's just too short to me. That's too short. But it's
average. It's average. So,
right. Which means that some of these are like 158.
Yeah. But you used to have 2.5-hour games without any pitch clock. So, I think
I don't hate it, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be that guy. I think this is good for the game.
I don't mind it. I like the pace of play being faster. And so I don't mind the pitch clock for that reason. I would love to see it paired with a situation that creates more activity on the base paths, creates more offensive production, creates more, give me a 2-hour, 45-minute game if it's 8-6, right? Like, I mean, I don't need to be there for 4.5 hours if a game goes.
Cleveland's game last night, 12-11 in 10 innings.
That's crazy. And how long was it?
I think it was like a little bit of, obviously it was over 3 hours because of the extra innings.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think we'll see the games lengthen out over the course of the year.
I think everything will even out.
I think you'll start to see some gamesmanship. I mean, we've already started to see a handful of scenarios where pitchers are trying to quick pitch or do certain things like that. The Rays are already trying to beat the shift rules and
oh my God,
bringing their outfielder in.
Yeah, bring in the outfielder. I saw that. I love the 8 seconds and then the batter, like, on purpose, like also trying to call timeout right at the 8-second rule. Like, no, bro, you out, get out of here.
Right,
I love it, all of it.
Yeah.
If you had to guess the average number of pitch clock violations so far in each game, so
are you asking me if I had to guess?
Because I saw. Wow.
No, because you know that I already saw this number earlier.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like Ed knows. So
I thought Ed was the one who sent us the stat. Or was
no, I'm looking at that's right now.
Okay.
Well, then you already know. So
yeah,
but it's under 1. It's
under 1.
I remember it was like 0.8.
Yeah.
Now
within
it just
the first
so
week
happened
of the season.
Yeah, it just so happens that it was one of them ended an inning today. So in San Diego.
Also, it's the name of the person too, right? Like, I mean, if it was like a backup catcher,
Garrett Stubbs,
you would not know. I mean, they were like, all right, cool, whatever. He can't figure it out. But it was Manny Machado who goes like, he literally got to the 8 seconds and then goes, and then the umpire's like, no, bro, too late, homie. You hit the 8 seconds.
There's no world in which like it's the NCAA championship game, and it's a attempted buzzer beater, and it comes out of somebody's hands half a second late, and everybody's like, you can't call the shot clock in a final game,
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like the hypocrisy of the you can't call pitch clock violations in certain scenarios. It's
you can't.
It's part of the game now.
Yeah.
Like you gotta adjust.
Can you imagine the World Baseball Classic, full count, Ohtani versus Trout, and it ends on a pitch clock violation?
Yeah, Dak Prescott can't spike a ball to kill the clock, and the Cowboys season is over. Like it just happens. It's part of sports. It's like it's a new thing, you know, a new like.
I'm so for this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm
It's all
so for
jazzed.
it.
I like it so far. So far, I've been a fan. Talk to me next week when I'm like at a game in person,
Right.
and I'm like, "What? It's over." So
I'm going to 2 games this weekend. We'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. Guys, we
Right.
made it to the top of the hour. This is what happens when we do this once a month. Is we're all jazzed to talk to each other. And,
I love it. It was great. It was a great show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, I'm enjoying your podcasts as always. Although Anna, I haven't cried at yours in a while, so
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
but yeah, great to see you guys, and thanks everyone for being here in the chat.
Whoa! Slow your roll there, sunshine.
I'm just saying it's 8:01 in Pacific +1 time zone here, and there's people waiting on me for dinner.
Okay, what you got going on this week?
Oh man, this week on the podcast is fun. I've got a whole Pacific Northwest thing happening right now. I've got the Tacoma Rainiers,
Okay,
and next week the Vancouver Canadians.
I just ordered Vancouver Canadians to swing in Mountie hat.
Ah, so good.
Hey, it's
And,
a 47 brand, just so you know.
Yeah, he's not a swinging Mountie. He's running.
He's running.
Yeah.
Running.
And I just thought to myself, I said, what Canadian do I know? And so I have Eugene Levy on the podcast.
Hi, Amy. Bye, Amy.
I don't really have Eugene
I
Levy.
was like,
That would have been good though.
I don't believe you.
It's Will Arnett. We're doing a Ford commercial together.
Oh, that was good. That would be good.
Was Amy just in the
Just
background? Here?
literally walk right past them.
Oh, that's funny. How about you guys? What's going on? Ed's been doing all 2-parters here. He's been breaking his in half.
I have, because I've been doing the research, right? Half hour, increments in episode. It's a good time frame, for those people that are going to work or anything. So just keep it at a half hour or so.
It's good.
But Craig Colby, TV producer,
yeah,
podcaster, and author.
Okay.
It was a good hat. It was a good Dad series, that book. So next week will be part 2.
Okay.
Beautiful.
By the way, I have to thank Pat Larson for I put a call out on Twitter. What team should I feature on the podcast? And Pat threw out the Making Bacon, and that has led to all sorts of stuff happening on my podcast. So that was a great suggestion, and introduced me to some people who I didn't know. And
I want bacon.
Bacon is great, and now I'm getting to talk with a couple of people who you're going to see in a couple different episodes coming up because of that suggestion from Pat.
That's
All right,
awesome.
nice.
I love it.
Anna, what about you?
I have a gentleman by the name of Reggie Deal, who is actually was born blind, and so talks about the intricacies of falling in love with the game of baseball strictly by sound, which is
not gonna cry.
God damn it,
gonna
Anna.
cry. Son of a.
I'm already crying.
Me too.
it's pretty cool.
That sounds amazing. Actually, that
Yeah.
sounds very cool. Super cool.
Damn it, Anna.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh.
That, by the way, Amy is pointing out, was not Amy, but it was our Polish exchange student, Nico, who I was talking about on the Inland Empire 66ers episode with Jason Klein.
Okay. Hi, Nico. Bye, Nico.
Yeah, there you go. He keeps coming in every day. He wears a different one of my minor league baseball hats.
Good for Nico.
Love it.
Good
Yeah.
for Nico.
All right, guys, it's dinner time in the Pacific +1 time zone out here. So
The time zone that doesn't exist.
right, it's imaginary.
Right.
That way the feds can't get you.
Right.
I haven't paid taxes in 21 years.
Love it. And Paul getting arrested next week.
Oh no.
Hey guys, guess what? Bye.
Wow.